We are on to week 7 of The Bachelorette. Tayshia's week 3. We saw 4 guys go home tonight. What did we see? 2 dates? Just got 2 dates today and ended on a rose ceremony. So we kind of got things back to a normal state where we end the night on a rose ceremony. So, I mean, hopefully in future weeks we either end on rose ceremony or rose ceremony cliffhanger, because like the rose ceremony in the middle of the episodes has just been feeling kind of weird. One thing I want to address right off the top is we heard some people at the start of the episode saying like, hey, Tayshia wants a man who's bold and outspoken. And I'm sitting there watching thinking like, no, I don't think so. Like I view 4 guys as the front runners. Like first off, Brendan, definitely wouldn't peg him as being bold and outspoken. Zach's another guy I think's a fun or a front runner. Tayshia even questions him tonight about being shy. So definitely not bold and outspoken. Then we have Ben, somebody who on his last date basically forgot to talk to Tayshia. So I would not describe that as bold or outspoken. He did change that. He upped his boldness a little bit over this episode. And then finally Ivan, who I definitely don't peg as either bold or outspoken. So if you're sitting in that house and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, Tayshia is after this bold and outspoken guy, well, I got bad news for you, because you are not going to be one of the men left at the end of this season. All right, let's jump into our first date of the night. This one saw a few of the guys go head to head with a challenge for a chance at a one-on-one date with Tayshia. And their challenge was, you get 1 hour, write Tayshia a song, winner gets to go on a one-on-one date with Tayshia. So I would say the results were quite mixed. No one was spectacular. A few people did okay. Definitely Ivan and I think it was Damar were the 2 standouts for me, and Ivan ends up being the one to win the date with Tayshia. I kind of feel like he ends up winning because Tayshia likes him more than Damar. And I wouldn't really read anything deeper than that. So this is kind of like feeling like a pretty low budget date. They're just go to Tayshia's hotel room, and all of a sudden Tayshia's like, the floor is lava, which I mean, I think would be fun. Like it would be a fun time. Like if you're on a date with somebody goofing around in a hotel room and the floor is lava, yeah, it's kind of fun. But I mean, we're talking about The Bachelorette here. We're expecting these huge, grand dates that are breathtaking and spectacular. And here, Tayshia is on a one-on-one where at the start she plays Floor is Lava, and then at the end of the date, she sits in front of a gigantic piece of AstroTurf and has a heart-to-heart conversation with Ivan. But jammed in the middle of there, we saw where the whole date budget went, and that was that $7,000 bowl of ice cream they have. That was the largest bowl of ice cream I've ever witnessed in my whole life. How can one bowl of ice cream be so big? 2 people cannot eat that bowl of ice cream. Like they should have had all the guys there. They still wouldn't have finished that ice cream. So that was an excessive amount of ice cream, especially considering that the rest of the date was floor is lava. I really felt like Ivan and Tayshia connected as people. Like it felt like they were both saying the right things, but I wasn't really getting any sort of romantic connection there. Like they were definitely bonding as individuals, looked like bonding as friends, but just because you express like an emotion to somebody, like or relive an experience from your past or something in your life you're struggling with, doesn't always equate to love and romance. And I was kind of getting that vibe here, at the end of the day when we saw Tayshia and Ivan sitting watching Tayshia's slideshow of her life growing up. I thought that changed a little bit, But like when they're really having that heart to heart conversation, it very much felt like they were distant from each other. They weren't physically interacting that much. And, like I said, they're connecting, but I question whether they're connecting on a romantic level. All right, let's move on to our group date for the week. So this was a truth or dare date. The first half saw our contestants or bachelors splitting up into teams of two and having to go deal with a series of dares. Let's just go through the dares one at a time. So first we have drink this disgusting drink. I always just absolutely hate these things. This is something I just could not do. I just couldn't do it. There's no way. Like I'm the kind of person where if I smell something or even get the idea of something that I don't like in a piece of food that I'm going to eat, I just can't eat it. I can't do it. I can't, just not happening. So to just grab a jar of mystery drinks and slam it down, hell no. Bravo to those guys for manning up and doing that, but just not something I could handle. And next part, get Chris Harrison to sign your ass. Felt just a little weird to me. And it just seemed like a scene with Chris Harrison. Like we didn't get to see the guys revealing their signatures to Tayshia or anything. It just felt like, hey, we're just gonna go and just do this generic Chris Harrison shot. Chris Harrison, he's been getting in his good shots this season. Like tonight, he has this, plus ends up with the one-on-one time with Ed later in the evening. All around, just a great week for Chris Harrison. And then our third part saw all of our men eating habanero peppers, another thing I would just fail at miserably, and then expressing their feelings. It started out pretty poorly. I think we saw Kenny. He was gagging, looks like he was ready to throw up. And I forget who the next few were, but then we kind of got over to, I think it was Zac and Bennett, and they did a really good job of expressing their feelings to Tayshia, and I felt like that really went well for them. Night portion of the date, the truth portion, we got some good one-on-one time. I thought the 2 stars here were Bennett and Zac. The Zac was a little weird because it didn't really feel like they had a fantastic conversation, but it looked like they did have a fantastic makeout session in the hot tub. So maybe there was some things we didn't see while they were talking, and Zac walks away with that group date. I really think Zac is someone that Tayshia is interested in, and Bennett, while he's been doing a pretty good job, ultimately I'm just not seeing Bennett with Tayshia at the very end. He seems like primo Bachelor in Paradise fodder, and I'm sure all of Bachelor Nation is going to be ecstatic when he makes his appearance on Bachelor in Paradise. Lastly, we have the rose ceremony. We see 4 guys go home, but right before that, probably the best date of the week ends up being Ben, who goes and just has a chat with Tayshia. This wasn't an actual date. This was him trying to make up for his mistake last week, and I feel like he definitely made up huge ground with Tayshia by going and reaching out and talking with her. For how bad the dates have been this season, it was refreshing just to see Tayshia and Ben sitting down, having some quality time together, share a glass of champagne, and that's good enough. I get a lot more out of that than watching Tayshia and Ivan play The Floor is Lava, which didn't really seem like a date, just felt like 2 people playing Floor is Lava. But anyways, this ends up being probably the most intimate moment of the whole night, and really spring shotted Ben back into contender status. This was also the moment when we saw Ed go and have his chat with Chris Harrison. Seemed like a very nice, awkward moment that we got a little bit more of at the very end of the episode. And, I really appreciated it. I don't know who set that up and told Ed to go knock on Chris Harrison's door, but it was probably one of the highlights of the episode. All right, rose ceremony time. We get some big drama, and that surrounds Noah. All the guys, well, not all the guys, a group of the guys have been taking issue with Noah ever since he hopped the fence on the group date. That time he was asked if he wanted to hop the fence, and then asked if he wanted to go on the group date, and then asked if he wanted to accept the rose from Tayshia. All these things that he was asked to do, mainly by Tayshia, that all these guys are livid about. And Noah kind of brings this up to Tayshia, but I really didn't like the way that he framed and phrased everything. Like, he definitely framed everything as these guys attacking Tayshia's character, attacking Tayshia's integrity. And really, it's just a case of these were just some grown men who were grumpy about you stealing some time away from them, or at least how they portrayed it. Even though we know that's not what happened. So this ends up blowing up the cocktail party. Tayshia kind of, goes and has a talk with all of the guys, and then says, hey, we're going straight to the rose ceremony. Not a ton of surprises here. We see Kenny go home, who's really just not had a connection with Tayshia. We see Joe go home. He seems like a nice guy, but just has had no screen time whatsoever this season. Jordan goes home. I actually, forgot he was there this episode, so not too surprising. And lastly, the only one that, was even a little bit interesting as someone who got sent home was Chasen. It really felt like the producers were trying to set up a Chasen versus Ed scenario where it's coming down to that moment, like who's she gonna pick, Chasen or Ed? But the rest of the house has moved on to new drama with Ed and Bennett and Noah. So Ed ends up being the last rose, and really he gets that rose because he's the guy who's stirring up the drama in the house. And we've seen time and time again on The Bachelor and Bachelorette that if you're involved in the big drama, you're at least going to get one extra week where we can see all of that drama come to a head. All right, that is it for this week. A lot going on, and thankfully we're back on a more normal routine for episodes moving forward. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, we'll see you later.